What is up, Fox Body Fiends? Hey, on this video we're going to set up my Team Z suspension and take it for a road test, so stay tuned. What is up, everybody? Man, it is absolutely beautiful out here today. We've had some nice cold weather, but in the daytime it's got up to like 67 degrees, and right now the garage is 59 and it is just perfect. Not a cloud in the sky. So if you remember on our last video, we installed the Team Z Motorsports rear, upper, and lower control arm kit with the upper control arm relocation kit. So if you missed that video, go back and watch it. We just kind of set everything up. So the next step in the series here is setting the pinion angle, making sure that the suspension is set up correctly, and then take the thing for a test drive and see how it feels. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've already driven the car and I had to get it on the ground just to check for clearances. The first thing I noticed whenever I got the wheels on the ground was that the sway bar was hitting the tailpipes really bad. What I contribute that to is the Team Z Motorsport sway bar mount is slightly rearward towards the back of the car a little bit more to make room for the double Heim or the double adjustable lower control arms that I chose with this kit. Because it moved the sway bar back, it moved it right into the tailpipes. There was literally nowhere else I could put those tailpipes without cutting them off. So that's what I did. I ended up cutting them and putting two dumps out to the side. So right now the exhaust is dumped, and check it out here. You can see that I've removed the tailpipes off the car to make room for clearance. And to be perfectly honest, they've been nothing but a pain since day one. Those tailpipes were rubbing over to my back out of the driveway, and every time I hit a larger bump, the axle was hitting it. The car's so low that it's just a hassle to me, and hassle working around. So I'm still up in the air about the looks on it, but I did actually go ahead and cut the tailpipes off and put them over in the corner. Say what's up, buddy? You gonna help me today?
Yes, I am. In this video, yes, I am.
Cool. What are we gonna do?
We're gonna make a pinion angle.
We're gonna make a pinion angle, or we're gonna set it?
We're gonna set it.
All right, we are gonna set the pinion angle. And we're gonna go over all this here, but the first thing I wanna do is just visually check the wheels on the car. So we wanna make sure that from the back, the side to side is equal. I know it's kind of hard to tell, from here, but you wanna make sure the stick out on the tire on this side is about the same on this one. You want to kind of make sure they're the same. And I'll take a tape measure and we'll kind of look at this, but the first thing we want to do is just check that. We want to make sure the side-to-side angle is good, and we're also going to check the angle of the axle this way. So you can actually adjust the control arms to swing the axle this way and that way, just slightly, basically how close it is from this fender and this fender here. So you can see on the last control arms I had, I rubbed the tire up here whenever I got on it. Because there was so much play in the axle, the wheel would be driven up into the fender well and hit the sheet metal here, which was kind of cutting it. So it's no bueno.
I understand.
So the proper way to do this is to get the car up on a 4-post lift and plumb bob the front and back of the car, and then basically draw out the perfect center of the car. Once the perfect center is marked out on the car, the center of that piece and the angle to both of your rear control arms should be perfectly equal, just notating that everything's centered. So we're not going to go that far. That really is race car chassis stuff. You probably can do it. We don't have a 4-post lift today, and I know in the last video I promised a 4-post lift. We're waiting on it, but we have a new shop getting set up. My buddy Sean's bought a shop, and he's getting a whole bunch of stuff set up there, and he's going to be actually moving a 4-post lift out there. Right now he's moving a bunch of equipment to it, so it's inaccessible, and I need to get this done so I can really drive it and know that everything is good on it. So we're going to go over the diagram real quick and tell you really quickly about how everything adjusts, what angles and whatnot. But the first thing I want to do before we go to the whiteboard and kind of explain to you the different the different settings on how to move all this stuff around, we're just going to measure the back axle real quick and make sure that the angle of the axle from this way to that way is good. I don't know if y'all can see this, but right here we've got exactly 2 1/4 from the tire to the end of the lip here. We're going to go down right where the end of the curve starts here. So we got 2 and a quarter. Let's go check the other side, Connor.
Hello.
Okay, come over here, Bubba. Okay, right here, Connor. All right, the same spot. Hey, look at that. We also have 2 1/4. So just basing off these 2 reference points, the axle is not twisted like this. Okay. And also know this because whenever I have driven the car, I did test drive it. The steering wheel was perfectly center. That measurement is going to change rear steer, and of course you don't want it. You want your axle centered. My steering wheel didn't move. If I would have bolted this in and then gone for a test drive and the steering wheel was cocked a little bit more, I probably would have known that my rear axle would have been turning. Let's look at the diagram.
Okay.
Okay guys, I drew this out of my whiteboard to kind of help explain the upper and lower control arm adjustments and what they actually adjust before we get into actually getting to the pinion angle. So let's look over here on this side. Right now, just keep in mind that your lower control arms control the axle being forward or being backwards, centered into the fender well, and it also affects what we just checked as far as the axle being spun like this. If you, of course, one is shorter than the other, this back tire will be moved up. If this is longer, it'll move down, and then vice versa. So having these lower control arms right here equal length will make sure that it is equal side to side into the fender wells. If you have to actually adjust this axle like this, let's say you've got tire poke coming out on one side and it needs to come out on the other, you would actually lengthen and shorten the other upper control arms in equal amounts. So your upper control arms control this movement and your pinion angle, and your lower control arms control this movement and this movement of the axle. So mine seems to be pretty good, and I think we can go ahead and move on to the pinion angle. So what we're going to do is chalk the front wheels, lift it up, and we're going to take all these measurements here. So the first thing we're going to do is check the engine angle versus the drive shaft angle. This kind of tells me our drive angle. So this should be really set to 0. You should have no play, or at least no angle between your transmission and your drive shaft. Now I take the engine angle off the crank pulley because I know the crank is center line with the transmission. Transmission is center line into your drive shaft. So there's a bad drawing, but this is actually a straight line from the crank straight to your rear output shaft on your transmission. So when we check the engine angle, whatever this is versus whatever your actual drive shaft angle should be around 0, if not, give or take, maybe plus or minus 0.5 degrees, okay? So once we get this and we're happy with this, this can be set and altered a little bit by shimming the transmission cross member to move the tail of the transmission up or down. Or of course you could actually raise and lower the engine mounts too to lift it like this as well. So we'll get this, and as long as this is within 0.5 degrees, we won't have to worry about this anymore. We can move on to the drive shaft angle. Now with the car up in the air, we'll probably have to go ahead and take the axle off the rear, the drive shaft off the rear axle, just to get a flat spot to measure the axle. So this will give us the axle angle, and we'll be able to take that and the drive shaft angle, add them together to give us our total pinion angle. Make sense, Connor?
Yes, that does make really a lot of sense.
You got this? Okay, let me show you the tools we'll need to check this, and then we're just going to raise the back of the car up.
For this job, you'll need angle finders. An old angle finder and a newer angle finder.
Digital one.
Yes. Yes. To adjust the control arms, you're gonna need a
1 inch wrench and a 1 1/8
yes.
inch wrench.
Yes.
All right. Most important thing here is to chalk the wheels, because we don't want the car flying into the garage. Yes, this is my wheel chalk. All right. Okay. Now let's get the jack. The jack. Oh!
I did not do that.
Broken. Oh, come on, man. Dang, come on. All right, move back. All right, Connor, we got the axle up. We got it lifted up here. I didn't get it too high, just high enough where I can get under it. and get everything I need. I just noticed a leak over there. What is that? But anyways, we got this thing up, and yeah. First thing we're gonna do is go ahead and get our engine angle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a put my ruler flat bar up against the pulley here. Try to find something short enough because the turbo pipe is definitely in the way, and then get our angle off the crank pulley here. So let's do that right now. Okay, so I'm gonna take my angle finder here, and we're gonna go ahead and, this has a magnet on the back side. So we'll go ahead and turn it on and slide it in place. It's kind of tight in here, but we should be able to get in there doing this.
That green light's cool.
All right, buddy. So this is without zeroing out, and what we got is 1.6 degrees. So let's see here, make sure that's right. 1.6. Okay, so we got 3.2 on the drive shaft. Arrgh. So we're gonna go over here. So this is the 3.2 positive. Oops, 3.2. Okay, so we got 3.2 degrees on the drive shaft, and 1.6 is up, so we subtract it, and we've got 1.6. I also verified this, and I used my angle finder again, the digital one, and I zeroed it out on the engine, and then just transferred it to the drive shaft and showed it had 1.5. So 1.5 to 1.6 is what we're going off of here. I'm gonna go ahead and just say 1.5, just to round it up, I guess. But what this means is the drive shaft and angle difference between the two is 1.5 degrees. So I could actually shim the cross member to try to get it up, to try to zero this out. All right, I've got the transmission just lifted up enough. I'm gonna slide one washer in it and put the bolts back in, tighten it back down, and check the angle again. I think one washer will get us the angle we need. I don't need to be moving it much.
What's up, guys? And we're back.
Where we go eat?
Jambos. If you know what place that is, comment down below. And
You watch way too much YouTube.
stop.
You should go check out Jambos. Is good. Jambos and Rendon barbecue. We had to take a barbecue sandwich break, but I'll put one washer on, which brought up the back end. One set of washers stacked it on. So it brought me from 1.6 to,
It dried out.
It brought it from 1.6 to 1.1, which means one stack of washers brought it down 0.5 inches. So I think if I can get another stack on there, those would be 2 stacks of washers, and that would actually get us down to about 0.5 in the driveline angle. So I've developed up the washers on the cross member to the transmission, and I went ahead and put my angle finder down back on this metal ruler here, this thick metal ruler, along with the crank, and zeroed it out. So now everything else is going to be referenced off the degree of the crank. So if we come down here, and we now put this on the drive shaft, that'll tell us where we're at here. 0.8. Okay, so to make this really simple, all we're doing right now is just checking the driveline angle from the engine to the drive shaft and making sure it's as centered as possible. So what I've done is I've measured the car. So if we're looking at the side of the car here, we know the whole car is angled up like this because the back end's jacked up. So if we look at the engine angle right now is 2.5 degrees positive. That means it's an upslope like this. And the drive shaft is 2.8 degrees positive, which is also an upslope. Now typically this would be downslope because the car wouldn't be jacked up on the back end, but you take these two difference and you get a 0.3 degree drive angle difference right here in the center. So that to me is really close to 0.5, and it is perfect. It's almost dead center. So that just means simply that our drive angle and our angle of drive shaft, where they meet, and again this would actually be a straight line, guys. I mean really you're talking about this here, engine and the drive shaft, is just a 0.3 degree difference between each other because they're both at the same angle, 2.5 degrees up and 2.8. So there's a 3 degree difference. So being this is up more, this is still a positive 3 degree, 0.3 degree up angle. Nonetheless, that is awfully close, and we can easily now continue on with the pinion angle, which is what you're here for. All right, I got my drive shaft removed. We're gonna go ahead and turn on our angle finder here. And we're just gonna put it up there. Okay, we have a 5.6 up. Okay, so bear with me here, but because the whole car is lifted up, we have a plus slope up angle on the drive shaft of 2.8, like we measured earlier, 2.8. And we had an up slope angle measured at the pinion at 5.6 degrees. So you take the difference between these two, and that makes our pinion angle 2.8 degrees difference. So when the car is down, this will be a minus 2.8 degree. And just to verify, because I'm confusing myself, because the car is angled up so high, everything is a positive degree because everything is up, because the whole car is up. The whole back of the car is up. If the car was level, all this would make more sense in my head. It's confusing the hell out of me, so I actually went online and come inside with me real quick. I'll show you. What I did was use an online calculator to put all my measurements in just to verify that I was right. So let's check it out. Okay, so here I am on, this is spicerparts.com calculators. You can just Google pinion calculator. There's a whole bunch of them out here, but this is what we have. This makes sense to me. This is what I got outside too. We have a 0.5 degree angle on the engine going up, so it's an upslope. We have an upslope of the drive shaft going at 2.8 degrees. That gives us an operating angle of 0.3, which is right within spec. And we have a driven member, which is the pinion, up also at 5.6 degrees. So that gives us an operating angle of 2.8 degrees. So now I called up Team Z, and they recommended between 2 and 2.5 degrees for a stick shift car with a Street Beast kit. We're at 2.8, so it's a little aggressive. It's closer to 3. I think I want to tighten it back up, which means we need to bring the pinion up just a little bit more and make this right around 5.3 degrees. That'll give us a 2.5 degree pinion angle, or if I go a little bit more, that would be okay. So even if we bring this in maybe 5.1 or 5.2 degrees, that's going to get my pinion angle right around what we want, 2.2 to 2.3 degree range. So we're going to loosen our jam nuts. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our 7/8 inch wrench. Actually on a 1-inch wrench, and it was too big. So for the adjustment nuts here, we're going to count the flats. What that means is we're going to make sure we turn both of them the exact same amount. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and the same here. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll get our angle finder and try it out here again. Okay, so that is the wrong direction. Now we've got 3.2 pinion angle. Okay, so I need to go back the other direction here. Now we're at about 2.6. I got the right direction going here. I was going the wrong direction. What I did was reference my angle finder to 0 on the drive shaft. So put the drive shaft back on here like this. And I put the angle finder on here and zeroed it out. See, so it's 0.1, it was 0.0 a second ago. So 0.1, 0.0, so I zeroed it out on the drive shaft. Now we'll have direct reference to the drive shaft angle and pinion angle. So that being 0, this is 2.5. So I'm gonna go a little bit more maybe and lock them down. but I think that's good. So we'll just maybe go 1, 2, 1, 2, and we'll check it again here. All right, 2.3, 2.4. So I'm gonna call that good. They recommended between 2 and 2.5 degrees pinion angle. I went ahead and got it to 2.3. So now we're just gonna lock it down. So what we need to do here is just spin our jam nuts back up finger tight. Mark reference this thing on both sides. Okay, that'll just kind of give you an idea whether or not it's backing off. Okay, got it outside. It's kind of cold outside. It took a little bit to warm up. You can definitely hear my ticking. That tick is the passenger, our driver's side exhaust header leak we got to fix. But it has a completely different sound with the tailpipes cut out. Let you hear inside of here. I got it idling pretty good here with the micro squirt, and it ought to drop down a little bit more too, but yeah. Definitely a lot louder in the interior, a lot more deep drone rumble since the exhaust pipes were cut out. But I'm gonna go get my son and we're gonna go to the store and get dinner. Take it for an initial test run. I've already kind of driven around, you know, before setting the pinion angle, I drove it. So it's fine. What we did on it is not gonna make that much of a difference as far as drivability, especially from here to the store. So yeah, and then probably tomorrow when it's just me, I'll go take it out to an empty road and rip on it a little bit. We'll see you then. What's up, y'all? How's the drive, Connor?
Good.
A lot less bumpy, a lot less clunky, no more shaky, rattles and rolls.
Oh no! Oh no!
that's it for this time. Hey, make sure to follow me on Instagram and subscribe for more updates. And the next video we'll be putting in door handles because I broke the door handle on the driver side. So listen, I'm really anxious to get this car to the track with some slicks and some traction and really see kind of what times we can run that we fix some problems. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be doing that as well. So guys, keep wrenching your Foxes. Enjoy these things. Have fun with them. That's what it's all about. And stay tuned for more videos. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Take care.